People's Business is made possible by our partners, Solar Dynamics, the most efficient energy systems.
Good night, everyone, and welcome to another edition of The People's Business. I'm your host, Shane Seeley. I hope everyone is doing well tonight as we give you some food for thought. That's actually our topic tonight as we focus on the recently just passed AGROFEST. It was an amazing showcase. Thousands of people headed down there over the 3 days to see what Barbados' agricultural sector has to offer. So we'll talk a bit about that, get into the showcase. Did it achieve what it was supposed to, what they set out to do, really the first year after coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic? We have the experts in tonight with us to tell us all about what they thought about this year's showcase. KEELEY Holder, the Chief Agricultural Officer, is here with us tonight. Joining her is James Paul, the President of the Barbados Agricultural Society, and CHADEENE BECKLES is a CARDI representative here in Barbados. She is a value chain and marketing specialist. So stick around. We have a lot of food for thought tonight on The People's Business. Don't go anywhere. So glad that you could spend some time with us on your Sunday evening to find out more about what's happening in the agricultural sector as far as AGROFEST is concerned. Many of you would have headed down there and had some good days. It was some sunny days down there, no rain at all. So people really got a chance to enjoy the exhibits, especially the young ones. The young ones were eager to be a part of this year's AGROFEST, and I know it's a festival of sorts for many. It's a good outdoor space. You get to just stroll around, but what you are seeing is agriculture in motion, what they're doing in 2023, and you're getting some snapshots of where the agriculture sector is going next. Again, with me is KEELEY Holder, the Chief Agricultural Officer, James Paul, also with us, the President of the BAS, and CHADEENE BECKLES. She is with CARDI. She's a value chain and marketing specialist. So James, I want to start with you because I know that you've been working with AGROFEST for quite some time. Are you satisfied with the showcase this year?
First of all, I would want to say yes. Let me just correct you. I am the CEO of the BAS, not the president. So just
and I should know better. I should know better. I should know. I'm reading my script, but I should know better because we have conversations all the time. The Chief Executive Officer of the BAS. But yeah, did you achieve all you wanted to achieve through AGROFEST this year?
You never ever achieve everything that you want to achieve when it comes to these type of events. Certain terms of participation, I think that we were very pleased to see the number of persons participating. From the point of exhibitors, yes, we managed to, get I think a good sample of exhibitors, but I don't think that we were happy, of course, in terms that we achieved everything from the point of view. We want more diversity. We also want to sort of get more private sector interest, more private sector providers of services to the agricultural sector involved, because some of them were just not there. And I think that we have to understand why we do agriculture, what is the core thinking behind it. And I think that the more those private sector providers understand why we do it, what is the main thinking behind it, and why it is so important that they participate in it as a means of studying the rationale and the reason for the agricultural sector and how it actually adds to growth. I think that we'll be more successful as we go forward into the future. So I don't want people to take away think that yes, did have good attendance, which I think it's not throughout, but good attendance mattered. But the point is really, though, I think that there are areas in which we have to work on to ensure that we get the message through to all stakeholders of any agricultural sector.
And this is the first one post-pandemic too. Did it live up to your expectations? You spoke about the turnout. I remember speaking to you on the Sunday, and things down there were crazy. People were waiting in very, very long lines to get in. And I mean, that's something I'm thinking that you would look to address going into 2024. But talk about that, the hype, the buzz, and the seeming love for the fact that AGROFEST was back to normal this year.
But you know, one of the things I think people make a mistake is that people are looking for some place to go. But I think important to these type of events, where it is not like a show or things like that. It's really trying to tell a story about what we are doing in the productive sector. And for instance, one of the things that we did learn from and from past years was the importance of selling the message, getting out there to people, helping them to connect with the exhibits. So for instance, one of the things that we were able to do was to actually show people that these are the type of people that are involved in the sector, and it's important for them to feel some kind of connection to the ordinary Barbadian in terms of, we don't sometimes appreciate how important it is for ordinary Barbadians to be part of the sector. The ordinary farmer who actually is engaged in sheep farming, how it's important for him. It's important for you to come out and support him. The ordinary person in fruit and vegetable farming, it is important for him. And the other activities associated with it. For instance, I want to say kudos to the people at the company, which, I mean, we've been around for 18 years as AGROFEST, and all of those years, okay, we have had a situation where we have been involved. They have been involved. They have supported HIPAC, for instance, another company, have been involved from inception, and of course, people like Chickmont involved from inception. You know, seed burst hatcheries out there who actually for every year they've been part of AGROFEST. It is these small contributions, and of course, in terms of the people who actually put on the event and who are part of it, who understand it. All of these people play a very critical role because they are the connecting things in the community, the links in the community that people can understand the rationale for its being. And it is important that we get more of those service providers who provide services to be part of it.
Indeed, indeed. I want to come back and talk about those linkages as well, but just a quick question. You were involved from the inception as well, James?
Sir, I was part of the creation team. We conceptualized it. We sat down,
okay.
and that was, of course, yes. If we could remember too, the NCC played Mr. Nebley, who was the general manager then. He actually persuaded me after 2 years. I said, look, I don't know if you can take on this stuff. And we actually decided, look, you know what? The year, it was a go. And from then on, you know, we sort of stuck with it.
Yeah, because, you know, you need your kudos as well. People need to give their flowers where they're deserved. So you were there from the beginning, and it's still going strong. So congrats to you. So it's basically your baby. KEELEY, I want to come over to you now, the Chief Agricultural Officer. I think this will be your first one in terms of being chief and there being an AGROFEST, and then also coming out of the challenges and the vagaries of the pandemic. What were your thoughts about this year's showcase? What were some of the highlights for you?
Hi, good night, Shane. Good night, viewers. Thank you for having me. It's actually my second one, but of course last year was kind of a low-key AGROFEST, given that we were kind of in COVID. So it's our first full AGROFEST coming out of COVID. And I thought it was an excellent opportunity to showcase, you know, what we're doing in terms of agriculture, how we're moving it forward. I was amazed at the turnout. I thought it was a fantastic turnout. So kudos to James and all of the team at the Barbados Agricultural Society. I really want to big them up for that. But this year we had a fantastic amount of interest in agriculture, in the agricultural sector. We had a huge amount of persons coming through our tent, spending a lot of time at the number of exhibits that we had there. And this year we took a very different approach from the previous years. Again, as James was saying, you know, AGROFEST is about showcasing what we do in agriculture. It is helping people to understand all of the cogs that are in the wheel that is required to make agriculture work. So this year, we brought together all of our partners in the same space, all of the agencies that work with us very closely to deliver on the agricultural agenda nationally. So the ministry partnered with, again, our sister agencies, BADMC and BAMC. We also partnered with FAO, World Food Program, IICA, the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation in Agriculture, as well as CARDI. We had also our sister company, BMCLA, as well as another company that we also work closely with, ECCI. So we had a huge amount of diversity in our space. And again, the whole intention was to start to get people to become more aware of what we're doing in the agricultural sector, what we are trying to do in terms of delivering on the new agricultural agenda, to start to sensitize, and most importantly, what was big and different about our tent this year was that we were bringing the new technologies to agriculture, but we'll talk about that a little bit more soon.
Yeah, because I know that you always encourage the use of technology in the future of agriculture and where you want to take this sector. You're in charge now, so I know that we'll be seeing a lot more of that rolling out in AGROFEST to come as well. But as you said, we'll get to that. I want to go to CHADEENE now to talk about CARDI. CARDI is the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute. I really want you to give our viewers an understanding of not only the partnership, but what does CARDI do, and then we can get to the involvement of CARDI in AGROFEST as well.
Well, good night, Shane. Good night to my fellow panelists, as well as to all of the viewers. Thanks for having me here. CARDI, as some people may, as you mentioned, is the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute. It is the entity in the region that's responsible for developing agriculture, specifically if we're looking at research and development. We have offices in, or presence I should say, in 14 CARICOM countries, inclusive of Barbados. And our work spans wide range in terms of staff that we have on hand. We have people doing work in biotechnology, agronomists, value chains, plant breeding, a whole wide range. And this is really to play that supporting role, particularly to at the CARICOM, but also to the various ministries of agriculture in each of the CARICOM to ensure that we work together to improve agricultural research.
So in terms of the highlights for you with AGROFEST and the partnership with the showcase, what were some of those for you? What were some of those highlights that you can say speaks well to the future of the agricultural sector here in Barbados?
Okay, well, first of all, I would say for me it was wonderful to see so many people back out to AGROFEST this year. And on that note, I'll also take the opportunity to commend Mr. Paul and the team for continuing to host AGROFEST, year after year. And I'm sure it's not a small feat. Being able to continue doing that, I think it definitely deserves an applause. For me, another great feat was what the Chief was on just now, having those key agricultural entities coming together. I think another nice point for me as well to being able to see the networking, because I think that's a part of it people don't often see, the opportunity for organizations to engage, but also some of the entrepreneurs that are there, some of the small business, some of the larger businesses to come together to talk shop and to see how we can continue to work together to develop the agriculture sector. So I would say those are the three major things for me.
And I mean, we're going to talk a lot more about the showcase itself. What were some of the objectives? There were, of course, I believe, some targets set by the Ministry of Agriculture through AGROFEST that needed to be achieved, and then coming out of that, where do you go next? So we'll get to that on the other side of this break. Or for you callers, for those of you who want to get in on the program tonight to answer your questions and to share your comments about AGROFEST 2023, the numbers to call 228-5562, 228-5563. You can be a part of the program tonight with KEELEY, James and CHADEENE as we talk shop on AGROFEST and get some food for thought. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back with more here on The People's Business. So let's get some more food for thought on The People's Business with James Paul, the CEO of the Barbados Agricultural Society, Keeley Holder, the Chief Agricultural Officer, and CHADEENE BECKLES. She's a CARDI representative here in Barbados, a value chain and marketing specialist. Good to have you all on the call. The phone lines are already ringing, so let's go straight there then. Good night, caller. Welcome to The People's Business. What's your question or comment?
Hey, good night, Shane, to you on the panel.
Familiar voice, a familiar voice.
I want to ask the organizers if they don't feel that they have outgrown the park.
Interesting question, and straight to it. So, James, I'll let you take that one first, and then Keeley. Do you think you have outgrown the park, James?
Blunt answer is no. Let me say why. First of all, the park is the traditional home of the agricultural exhibition. And I think that, while many Barbadians seek not to have a respect for traditions, it is good that we do have some respect for traditions. The other point I wish to make, most of the other venues that are there do not lend to the exhibition in the way in which we want to portray it. And of course, it's also a question of cost, the huge cost. That I don't think some people understand the cost involved in terms of putting on an exhibition of this nature, and why we sort of have to use in the structural facilities there by the park in order to do it. But the most important one is this. It is the home of the agricultural exhibition, and we can structure it to ensure, of course, that we involve as many of the exhibitors as we want to involve as possible.
Keeley, would you like to see the agricultural showcase move to another venue?
I don't know necessarily that it has outgrown the space so much as I would like to see a larger amount of agriculture in the space. I think the thing for me is that AGROFEST is our premier festival to promote the agricultural sector. I guess one of the things that I would like to see more of is a larger space in the coming year, and Ms. Ball knows how I feel about that already. But I would like to see us spend more time sharing, the work that we do in the agricultural sector, educating persons, giving persons an opportunity to take advantage of the types of products. I was very pleased to see the amount of plants and people buying plants and coming. I mean, even on Sunday night at 8 p.m., people were still buying plants. So things like that are really about promoting the agriculture at the household level, promoting agriculture at the national level in terms of farming. I think there's more scope to do that as opposed to going to a bigger venue.
Now, let me ask this as a follow-on to that then, because as we all saw, there were thousands of people every day at the showcase. But are people just seeing it? I mean, yes, it's an agricultural showcase, but aren't a lot of people maybe seeing it as a chance to get out of the house? Oh, let's go to AGROFEST, we like the atmosphere, go buy a few things, and not necessarily see the essence of agriculture and what is being done in agriculture, as you just mentioned, Keeley, missing that connection?
I would say, look, you have to really look at agriculture and remember it plays a very important social role. Okay, agriculture is not just the planting; it is the community. And that's reflected in our work that we started as it relates to the our community agricultural response and empowerment program, because we understand how it can bring people together. So if people want to come out of the house and spend time talking about agriculture, being around agriculture, actually I think that we are doing the job that we've set out to do, because it's that kind of exposure that is necessary for people to see the benefits above and beyond just the economic benefits, but they're able to then see all of the aspects and how it brings people together. I mean, it's a very important social activity.
James, you
You know,
wanted to jump in there, and then I'm going to go to CHADEENE because I have a question there for her as well.
okay, Shane, look, if you see, I do, we do tests. We do feelers out there in the community as to what's happening after AgroFest. I will tell you that is as a result of AgroFest that you see the tremendous interest that you see happening in terms of agriculture. I'll give you a typical example. Do you know that after AgroFest, do you know it's a whole zest for planting in Barbados? People actually come looking for fruit trees. I will even tell you, even in terms of products that you are trying to promote. If you remember when we started the whole question about flowers, like cassava flowers, we did some at AgroFest that we thought was good because we actually promoted the cassava flower. And I remember the time that we promoted, people actually came AgroFest looking for cassava flower. At least I understand by the second day they were actually sold out. In other words, I don't think that we appreciate the kind of impact that it actually makes. When you look at even in terms of parades and what happens in the schools, we have seen as a result of AgroFest. I mean, this year it was kind of unusual because of the fact that, as you pointed out, for instance, we had what do you call it, COVID and stuff like that. It was unusual. But the interest that sometimes comes from the schools is as a result of AgroFest and being offered the opportunity to participate in AgroFest. So AgroFest does play a role. It does have that impact. You might not see it. But I will tell you, even in terms of, for instance, when it comes, and one of the areas that we do want to expand in is in terms of processing and using foods, different plants, medicinal herb, all of these things. It does have an impact, because I don't think that, you see, you think it is not coming out. It is really bringing people in an atmosphere in which what we are trying to do is to achieve an objective. We understand what we are trying to do. And I know that some people are very critical about the other stuff that is there, but let's just face it. We are not. We are not just human beings are multifaceted, and sometimes the way they get to be interested in something is a very indirect one, in very strange ways. And if, as a result of AgroFest, we have somebody being interested even in kitchen gardening and doing different things, that is the objective. At least they're aware of the importance of agriculture, and that they, in their own way, can actually make a contribution at the same time.
CHADEENE, looking at the showcase, is there anything that you would like to see done to ensure that there is that connection to allow people, and especially the youngsters, to want to be more involved in the agriculture sector?
I would say that I think what is happening at AgroFest right now, I think that creates that bridge. And this is still touching the previous question we just asked, because yes, there may be some young people, even older people, who may just come out for the entertainment aspect of agriculture, but because door is then open for them to be able to come and see, okay, what is happening with a particular business that may be producing agricultural crops, or they may be doing something in terms along the lines of processing. I think it opens that door and it creates interest for them to say, hey, this is something that I can possibly get into. I think the interest is there, especially when young people have the opportunity to go and see the animals that are there on display, and some of the more processed products that we have. I don't want to mention anything in particular, but I think the door is open from AgroFest, even if people don't necessarily have that core interest in coming to see agriculture and to see the outputs of AgroFest, because they may be more interested in something else. I think because they then come, they can see everything else that is happening, and it can at least sow the seed, to put it in other words, to create that interest in agriculture and the agricultural sector, and also to open their eyes to as to what agriculture on a whole is. I know the chief mentioned earlier putting that emphasis on showing how technology can be incorporated into the sector, and some people may still unfortunately have the view or the perception that is simply, still a fork and hoe kind of activity. When we are able to showcase, even with some of the food stalls that you may have on BADMC and the types of products that they put out there through car meters. I think when people can really catch the idea, okay, that is not just the primary agricultural production that we have, but that all of these things are still interconnected. I think that's we can carry home the message over time of what agriculture on is and the importance of the festival and being able to communicate that message.
I remember Keeley recently saying something about robotics in agriculture and robotics being involved in agriculture. She will correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure. But let's go back to the phone lines very quickly for our next caller. Good night. Welcome to the People's Business. What's your question or comment for the panel?
Hello, good night. I just want to
Hi,
ask
good
one
night.
question. I really want to ask one question. Now, at a time when we want to involve the youth in agriculture in Barbados, because they are going to UE and they're doing law, they are doing medicine, all sorts of things they're doing, and they're trying to avoid agriculture. So at a time when we're trying to get the youth involved in agriculture, I thought that we will concentrate more on that part at AGROFEST. For example, we are saying that people selling clothes, we are saying a dog show, we are saying things better than cow, sheep, goat, and whatnot. So I wonder, I'm got here on that.
Just quickly to say, obviously you don't see the whole the program. For instance, I know therefore that maybe we'll be holding the cattle shows at a different time. Maybe we do have a very good cattle show. The Governor General was in attendance. In fact, by the way, she comes in attendance every year. Also too, President. We also have a sheep show. We also have a goat show. We have, we have shows. We have animal shows. Actually, I don't know if you see the presentation in terms of the face. We have the rabbits are always very well represented because they do, those youngsters do an extremely good job in terms of that. The only areas, and I want to be even looking at it in perspective, right? We do have, for instance, in terms of, I don't know if you see the fruits and vegetables that we do have on display for judging. Maybe we can do it better. Things like these. Actually, we try to do it better once. And I remember then Super Center played a role in terms of trying to help us. But I don't think it's fair to say that we just have that. But in addition, I just want to make the point. We have to understand too, as I said before, do you know, for instance, that one of the things farms are doing now is in terms of the involvement of dogs as a means of actually playing a role on farms, even in terms of deterring monkeys, that's one. They help in terms of the animals in many ways. As a matter of fact, there are some farmers who utilize the dogs as part of the workers on the farms. So I think let's not dismiss things, right? And the thing is with the clothes, as you carefully pointed out, for instance, one of the things I think the cultural officer mentioned just now is the whole question of exclusive ECC. I think maybe you want to talk about that. Where, for instance, they're foreign clothes. That is a part of the whole thing about agriculture. It's not just the primary products in itself, but the other activities associated with it at the same time. And the other point too I wish to make is look, we've got to recognize that when we started AGROFEST, and I'd be very, very bold to say this, we relied on all of these other exhibitors to come in. They played a role, okay? I would not be one to want to say to them that after they came in, they have to play a role in terms of having to build it, that they should not come anymore. And the thing about it is that, for instance, we are, and I think we are trying as much as possible as we can to invite, say, the ARC irrigation and equipment that plays a big role in terms of irrigation to come out. Let's see what you do. We want, for instance, also to the agrochemicals, they were there, and maybe not big, your charters actually have a physical presence there because they are critical providers of services, but in a sense, charters was there. They helped us in different areas, okay? So we do want all of the other service providers to come out, but it's not possible. We have to do mental convention, and we will work on it over the years. Okay, but the point is, some of them are there. They are there in a very big way. Again, I want to bring up HIPAC. HIPAC is the biggest buyers of pork on a weekly basis in this country. The biggest buyers of local pork in this country. They were there in the numbers. So I think maybe sometimes people don't understand the role of these players in the agriculture sector, and sometimes we have a way of thinking of agriculture as only the hoe and spade, the farmer out in the field producing a crop. We have to move beyond that and see it as even more, and that is why, again, it is so important for us to have AgroFest to show the wide spectrum of activities associated with the sector.
Yeah, and KEELEY is evidence of that because she's been a big promoter of technology in the sector, robotics, you name it. But it's a very interesting question that the caller asks, and I'll put it in this way, because two organizations or two entities that I would have loved to hear at the forefront being partnered with AgroFest would be the University of the West Indies, the Barbados Community College, and probably the SJP, Samuel Jackman Prescott Institute of Technology.
But I can be provocative if you're here, though. I understand why you want that. But
I'm just going, and I'm going on the caller's sentiments because he said what I'm hearing from him is that he would love to see a greater role in terms of academics, showing the students how they can be involved on the academic side, so that you can do like KEELEY and rise to become the chief agricultural officer, such a young age, because of her academics. She was a product of the University of the West Indies, right there, going through their courses in agriculture. KEELEY, let me get KEELEY in here. Talk about the academic, that academic side.
Before we get there, and just to respond to the caller, because the caller said how were we engaging the youth, right? In terms of bringing more technology, and that's what our tent was about. So first of all, our entire space. The first thing that greeted you when you came to our space was we had an aquaponics display. And displaying, aquaculture is a new area in agriculture that we're getting into here. And we provided information and had persons there talking to scores of young people. And that was very engaging, showing them the different types of fish farming that they could get into, the pangasius catfish, the traditional tilapia. Also, we're embarking on shrimp farming. So this was the first thing. Then the next thing that greeted you when you got into our tent was a big 6-foot drone, which we had demonstrations through each day, demonstrating the drone actually flying, and it was applying water, so you could see it applying, if it was applying any kind of foliar feed nutrients or pesticides. So we had demonstrations, and I mean, the kids were just astounded by the drones that we had. We also had 2 other drones because the Ministry of Agriculture has been partnering with the Inter-American Institute of Cooperation in Agriculture to develop the Barbados Innovation Center for Agriculture, which focuses on technology. So not only do we have two smaller drones there for the Innovation Center, but we also had DVR, digital virtual reality, and kids were actually trying them on, and they were using the Pollinator Park app, which allows you to walk through the park in virtual reality and pollinate flowers in real time. And then we also had a robotic arm called the FarmBot, which is robotic.
So I was right about the robot.
Planting, you can plant, weed, water, all of that right there. Then they got straight into the next section on research and germplasm, and we were able to show them tissue culture. We were able to show them the agronomy of how you grow different varieties of cassava. We were able to show them the end products of the cotton and being able to grow ceylon cotton and the finished product. We had staff there demonstrating real time how to graft and do grafting of fruit trees. The Barbados Apiculture Association partnered with us, and we're demonstrating all the aspects of beekeeping, another new and novel area. I mean, we had so many things going on in our tent. I mean, CHADEENE will speak about what she was doing with CARDI, but there was a tremendous amount of things to engage young people in the Ministry of Agriculture's tent, along with our partners. So I just like to tell the caller that we're very much in touch with what it is that youth want to be engaged in. And we certainly responded to that. And I'm sure next year we want to do it even bigger and better.
Keely, I guess to add to that, just before we go to CHADEENE, but we do have a caller, and we're going to come to the caller now, because CHADEENE, we also want to get CARDI's input on that side. But you have to talk about making that connection. The children seeing it and being immersed in it is one thing, but what is happening immediately after, in the months after? What are you doing to keep them involved, keep their attention there in that technological side of agriculture? Let's go to the phone lines first, though. Good night, caller. Welcome to the People's Business as we talk about AGROFEST and get some food for thought. What's your question or comment?
Good night.
Good night.
My issue, good night. I am a resident of St. Thomas. I have a plot that I had registered prior to COVID, and I applied for my agricultural water. I got the permission to get the water. I have not installed the water. My issue is, my problem is, I registered, as I said, I registered with the Minister of Agriculture and as a small farmer. And my issue is the monkeys. I cannot seem to be able to get a grasp of the monkeys. The monkeys are reaping 95% of the crops. And I called the monkey hotline. I registered with the monkey hotline. No one ever called me back. And, you know, it's frustrating because when you're putting in, 7 and 8 hours in a day out in the ground and, out in the field and, planting and doing all the preliminary work, then to have the monkeys harvesting and no one to help, is difficult getting any assistance from the Ministry of Agriculture. And it's frustrating. I have just left the land to run to run around. It's not making any sense.
All right, thank you, caller, for your question and comment. Was anything done at AGROFEST in terms of helping to educate people how to deal with these monkey issues?
No.
Go ahead, Keely. Go ahead, Keely.
Go ahead. No, we didn't address the monkey issue there. We do have partnered with the Ministry of Environment as it relates to there is a manual on monkey deterrent methods that we have made available to the public. We know at this time of year in particular, once it gets dry, there tends to be a greater problem with monkeys as they are foraging for food. In the drier part of the season, it is a big challenge for us. And we are looking at solutions to help to alleviate the problems that farmers are having. So it's a key area that we know that is a significant threat to the agricultural sector. It's a significant threat to farmers. And we acknowledge that there are a number of conflicting issues that are related to it. First and foremost, that there's a larger amount of coverage of area for monkeys to hide in as it relates to reforestation. There's also less food than it was 30, 40 years ago. So this too also compounds the issue. And then we also know that as we increase the production of fresh fruits and vegetables, the monkeys have more of a desire for those types of foods as opposed to when they were eating the grub between sugarcane, etc. So there are a number of key issues related to it, and at the same time, we are very sensitive to the fact that it is a species that is on our CITES list, the Convention for Endangered Species, and so we are working on finding a balance between the monkey population while at the same time reducing the conflict with humans. So this is something that is very high on our agenda, and we should be developing some protocols very soon on how we are going to address it. So we are very sensitive to it, and we know the Monkey Hotline is actually a partnership between the Ministry of Agriculture and the Wildlife Reserve, and we are aware that sometimes the hotline can be overwhelmed, and it may take the Wildlife Reserve a little bit more time to respond. So we are aware of the issues, and we are working assiduously to try and see how we can find some balance in this situation.
Yeah, thanks for that update there, Keely. I remember the last agricultural program we had with the minister. I had a solution that a gentleman put to me that was working for this monkey problem. But we'll take a quick break, take a quick pause. You hold that thought, James, and we'll come back and talk a bit more about that and other great things related to AGROFEST 2023.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of food for thought on the people's business. The monkeys are getting a lot of food too, fresh agricultural produce. Who wouldn't like fresh agricultural produce? That means the monkeys are giving what we're growing the thumbs up. You were chomping at the bit, James, before we went to the break.
Shane, sorry, I really can't treat it so lightly. Because listen, this is not an issue of to be treated lightly at all. People are losing money. People are losing their livelihoods. And I really cannot accept that we continue to treat this matter with kids' gloves. The monkeys are a pest. They're very destructive. They are ruining agricultural production for many people in many ways. You know, we have a situation where people are stopping from producing products because of the presence of the monkeys. We've tried to do, for instance, one of the big things that we tried to do years ago was a push in fruit production. We cannot produce fruit in any consistent quantity for the monkeys. The numbers need to be reduced, and they need to be reduced quickly. We need to increase the bounty for them. $15 for cane is not enough. We need to increase it. Okay, we need to start to take action to recognize that, look, we are treating food security seriously. We are treating the whole question of the dangers of these pests seriously. It is not good enough. We are taking too long. Okay, I hear all this thing about site, but the point is, nobody's from site Barbados. All of these people are inside these international organizations. How many can with agriculture? And if we are going to be serious to farmers, how can we in one breath say to farmers, produce? But these things are attacking sweet potatoes. I know, for instance, that farmers who literally plant potato crops and they are actually filled up. Do you understand what it means to plant 3 acres of sweet potatoes? I can't get one. And you are telling people to be serious about agriculture? Come on, we have got to do more. And it is not enough to cite any international obligation as far as that is concerned. We need to do something, okay? And it must be done now if we are going to take people seriously. No, it's not good enough.
Keely said something that sparked my attention there in relation to this, and it's no joke. You're right, James. People are spending their hard-earned money and their time planting crops, and then the monkeys are wreaking havoc. I know a farmer in St. Philip, and he tried this concept and it worked for him. And the thing is, it's all about research and development. And it may seem simple, but it worked for him. What he did, he had a few mango trees, and he realized that the monkeys were picking his mangoes. He decided he's going to put a bridge between the mango trees and the monkeys. He took any of the mangoes that fell off of the tree, he took far out and put in a wheelbarrow, and the monkeys actually started to stop there and not attack the mango trees anymore. I mean, it may not be the answer or the solution to the problem, but these are things that, I mean, you would have to consider if you are also dealing with international treaties, which Barbados is a signatory to.
Shane, but Shane, the only people that treat these things seriously is Barbados. I see, for instance, in the UK. The UK has a season killing foxes. Nobody makes any noise about it. I see the United States that they have a season of killing. Who makes noise about it? Come on, I think we have got to be serious. Listen, if we are serious about food production and about food security, we do not what is necessary. Okay? The thing is really that there are farmers out there of people who are potential farmers, and you talk about young people who are not getting involved because of the fact that monkeys are destroying their crops on a daily basis. And no amount of halfway measures can speak to that. Who is going to fight time? Oh no, it is money, Shane. You're talking about money. That's what we're talking about. And you asked me just now how young people being interested in agriculture. For instance, AGROFEST this year, we had some of our youngest farmers, sir, was around 14 years old, actually exhibiting. There was a young man inside there exhibiting at 14 years old. And he was exhibiting animals, And in fact, there were two young ladies there who actually never got back to actually go to see them. They were actually, and they had to be in the teens, and they were exhibiting animals. There is interest among young people. The AgroFest is actually promoted, but you are going to frustrate, and they want to do crops, but you are going to frustrate that interest if you continue to give the people outside more preeminence in things like these than Barbadians who are trying to work hard to make a living.
CHADEENE, give us your take on this from CARDI's perspective. I know you deal a lot with marketing as well. You're a marketing specialist. What can be done in this instance to find some balance? What are your thoughts on this situation?
A complex issue. I don't think it is a one-size-fits-all kind of situation either, because on one end we can ignore the fact that Barbados, we still have certain international relations to maintain, and there's certain others that will be looking in. So we have to be very delicate in how we manage the issue of keys. But on the other end, as Mr. Paul rightly pointed out, it's a matter of livelihoods for some farmers. What in terms of the methodology that particular farmer used, I find that I hear a variety of ways that people are treating to the monkeys. Some people are using some very real looking scarecrows that seem to be in the job for them. As you said, some people may be planting a portion of their produce and saying, okay, well, that is for these and the remainder is for me. Some people are still using the old techniques of newspaper and these types of monkeys may not want to touch. So I think at least until we can find a common ground in terms of how we treat to the matter, that farmers may have to be able to look at what would suit their particular situation based on how their land is situated, what they're growing, maybe some of the crops that they may grow as well too, that the monkeys may not necessarily be too willing to eat. I don't know if they may be willing to eat something like hot peppers. So even creating certain measures that would suit the specific farmer and their circumstances, I think that is an option that can be explored for now until we can find a suitable middle ground as to being able to make sure that farmers, their livelihoods are not destroyed, but still ensuring that we do not cause harm to what may be treated as an endangered species on another end.
Okay, well, let's not let the monkeys take over the show. We do have another caller on the line, so let's go there first. Good night, caller. Welcome to the People's Business. What's your question or comment?
Good night.
Good night.
You hear me?
Hearing you loud and clear. What's your question or comment?
The monkey is not my first business, but I want to say, government has to get rid of the monkeys. All these international food laws we are backing on are destroying our nations, and we got to set main nations of ourselves as an independent and a thing country. Let me know those food laws are up there for the same thing. The monkeys don't serve no purpose. It's not a dog, not a cat, not a cat, domestic cat, got feeding rats. Monkeys, what purpose to serve? Get rid of people. Tell the government I'm saying to get rid of the monkeys, because if not, the family going to die, and people going to die. I have the problem here by me, and people going to die. That's my point. I want to first say, I'm saying my third person, and I believe for the first time in the history of Barbados that I'm hearing a proper plan of some people trying to rescue agriculture. I want to credit to Mr. Paul, who's outstanding. All the years I know him, he's doing pretty well with agriculture, and also the agriculture minister. And they're trying to, but the first time I see that because you see what happened us years ago, we had this certification. And that's why I want to do agriculture, That's why I want to go with law and medicine, all different things. And this is the problem. We know, see, for the first time of government is trying to rectify and bring to forward agriculture. I want to praise people like Mr. Paul and the Minister of Agriculture. And I want to say one thing. You need to start from the schools and carry agriculture in the schools. It needs to be done. It needs to happen in the curriculum of a thing called agriculture. And you start from the boys and the girls and teach them where to go, how to handle farming at home, how to prevent certain food crops and things and handling properly. And that's what it needs to do.
Thank you, caller. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and get some final words. Keely, I really want to come to you to talk about academics in agriculture as well and what is being done there to not only encourage the youngsters to get involved, but to be certified and to do as you have done and rise to the top of your field in agriculture. So we're going to take a quick break and then come back and wrap up things here as we get some food for thought and talk about AGROFEST. We have about 6.5 minutes more to spend with you right here on People's Business as we get some food for thought on AGROFEST 2023. Keely, I want to come back to you because one of the things that I thought may have been missing in the showcase this year is, as I said earlier in the program, the UWI, the BCC, or the SJPI involved in terms of showcasing what courses they have on offer in the realm of agriculture, letting people know after high school what next for them if they want to study, certify themselves, and then of course continue in the field and embrace some of the technology that you so often speak about in the sector. What happens there? The children get immersed in a lot of the technology, as you mentioned, during AGROFEST 2023. Then they go back to school. What happens next? How do we keep them connected? How do we keep their attention?
Shane, that's a very good question, and there are a number of things that the government is doing to look at that. First of all, last year, in 2021, we set up an agri-educational task force which sought to bring together the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Education, UWI, BCC, SJPI, to put together a task force with a plan on how we are going to approach agricultural education. So that's the first aspect of it, and there have been a number of very exciting meetings coming out of that, and we have some plans that we're trying to roll out together to work on that. You may be aware that we would be embarking very soon on the UE Jukes project, and that's a partnership with the Ministry of Education and University of the West Indies. The Ministry of Agriculture is also seeking to work very closely with the university on how we are going to engage persons in that regard. The Hope School of Agriculture, which is going to be established at the Hope in St. Lucie, is another area that looks to create a School of Agriculture, a Center of Excellence for agriculture in Barbados, and for teaching young persons at the tertiary level more along the lines of practical skills. But beyond that, we also have at the secondary school level, the ministry partners with IICA as well as the Ministry of Education, and every summer they hold the farm, which is geared at getting kids, and they're taught to a CBQ level, I believe. And so we have engagement with kids there. We are also partners with the 4-H Foundation, and in fact, the ministry provides a subvention of $200,000 each year to the 4-H subvention to the 4-Hers, and the 4-Hers are in a number of primary schools and secondary schools, and we are hoping to be able to expand that reach. The 4-H used to be very, very vibrant in years gone by, and it was one of the critical cogs in having that reach within the schools. We've also been talking about developing more support, because one of the things that we have found when the ministry partnered with the Ministry of Education to have the schools garden program, there was such an overwhelming demand for it, and the challenge was to be able to provide consistent support to the schools. And then one of the challenges also is that when school is out, somebody needs to maintain the gardens, and so we're looking at avenues that we could have that continuous system going on. So there are a number of areas which we want to work and collaborate on to be able to encourage the continued interest and the education of agriculture in the schools. So it is a partnership. We've got a number of cogs that we're working on, but we will continue this work to be able to strengthen that as time goes by.
Well, thank you for that update again as well. All right, so time is short. James and Chadeene, what I want you to do for me, Chadeene first, as ladies first, what would you like to see at AGROFEST next year that you think was missing this year? 30 seconds.
Okay, I think, okay, one thing I would say we could possibly look at, and I guess I would have to say the team at BS could possibly look at, I think someone had asked a question about it as well too, could be the possibility of some sort of agricultural forum, some sort of platform for discussion where the different stakeholders at the various levels can come together at the event and discuss agriculture.
Lovely. Good one. James, what would you want to introduce next year? Something different, something exciting, something catchy that you think was missing this year? 30 seconds.
What we're doing in this sector, I think that there are other businesses that are not participating. Certainly, we'll be looking up to them. We have a few targeted in mind that will, I think, could make some very interesting presentations on how we will present it to them. But look, unless agriculturists make money, people are not going to be attracted to the sector. So we want to show the businesses that are making money in agriculture.
Private sector involvement is definitely key. Keeley, one thing that you would like to see at AGROFEST next year that probably was missing this year, outside of UAE and BCC?
A greater showcase of agricultural machinery. We have a lot of agricultural machinery that we wanted to showcase and have an opportunity to get people to see how agriculture is changing, how it's shifting. So I think I want to see a greater emphasis on that. I'd add to what Chadeene is saying and have more targeted training or sessions for farmers and how farmers can step up their game. How can we bring maybe more of the international arena to Barbados AGROFEST to help farmers move to the next level. I'd like to see a greater farmer participation in AGROFEST as well.
I really want to thank the three of you for spending the time with us. We have to do this again, so much information, and I think we may have to dedicate a show for the monkeys as well, because they're dominating things out in the field, and we need to try to find a way to address that. But again, thank you all for sharing with us tonight, and of course, thank you viewers for spending the time with us here on your Sunday night on The People's Business as we focused on AGROFEST 2023, and we got some food for thought. I'm Shane Seeley. Good night. James, thank you very much, man.
Man, listen, right? You go. Listen, you have me vexed as ever, but anyway, where are you?
Oh, Chadeene is still here. And thank you, Chadeene.
We good.
Yeah. But we gotta do another program, not part 2 AgroFest, but agriculture in general.
No, a lot of issues, my friend. A lot.